Hey, I'm Weekend Gabe, and you're checking out Weekend at Gabe's, and thanks for checking out this latest episode. While you're here, also follow us on these social medias at Weekend Gabe, at Weekend at Gabe's, and also at The Real Sam Crane. Thanks for checking us out.
Did I say appreciated enough in that one sentence?
I think you appreciated everything about that, my friend. You did a great job. But
thank you.
It is time for something very special, Gabe. It is time for a very special segment. And that segment is the return of America's favorite segment, Meet Gabe, where we link up Gabe with other Gabes so that they can get their Gabe brains together and find out the issues that are facing Gabes worldwide. But as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, Gabe, we are doing a little bit of a spin on this one. If you're a scientist out there, this is the control experiment. When you go onto our YouTube after this and you look up the playlist of Meet Gabes that we have done so far, this one will be the first episode. And it's because we have to meet the Gabe. The Gabe only Weekend Gabe cares about. The man, the myth, the legend, Weekend Gabe, everybody.
Listen, it's thank you so much for that wonderful welcome. We should have did this the first Meet Gabe first off, so we're working backwards. But either way,
it certainly would have reduced the amount of Gabes that we have to find now. And the reason we're doing this show right now is absolutely not because we couldn't find any other Gabes to talk to today. That's not the reason. The reason is we're doing journalistic research. And that is the reason. So, to wind the clocks all the way back to the beginning, Gabe, let's kick this thing off, man.
Yep.
Parents get together. A baby is born. They decide to name that beautiful baby boy Gabriel.
Yep.
Why were you named Gabe? Let's start there on me.
Great question. So my parents were, my father was already in the service, Marine, and we were stationed in Orange County, California. There's a military base out there, and so I was born in California as well as my older middle brother. And at the time, there were two other service officers with my father who were serving, who were his best friends, Gabriel and Lewis. So that is how I landed those two names. They were named after his friends, which I can say I've never met. So I don't know if these people actually exist somewhere.
I would love to get Gabe as like the original Gabe, not you. Of course, you're not the original Gabe. The original Gabe on the show. Yeah,
that is a great idea. I should definitely hunt him down so I can get all the dirt on my dad from 45 years ago. That would be fantastic.
We would love to see that. We would love to see that. That is a great story. I had no idea you were born in California. That's amazing.
This is Yeah, this is funny. This just came up like twice this week. I was telling someone else about this, that I haven't been back to California since I was 5. So there's an LA visit definitely in the near future, sometime soon, hopefully.
So one could say, Gabe, one could go out on a limb, let's say, that you, Weekend Gabe, Chicago's very own Weekend Gabe, are not actually from the crib.
Let's say that 95% of my life has been from the crib. So I think that percentage definitely puts me over the criteria. So I don't know if your statement is accurate.
Right, fair enough. So you moved to Chicago when you're 5? Is that it, or was there a stopgap along the way?
Yeah, I think like 6. Yeah, like right after the Bears won the Super Bowl. Yeah,
right after the Bears. A wonderful time to move to Chicago, by the way.
Harold Washington. It was great.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to know, back in that first era, you're coming into Chicago, you're putting down roots here. What was the very first hip hop song you ever heard?
I had to go back to when I was a kid in California. We were listening to LL Cool J's Bad. I remember that song being like on rotation all the time.
Was that your pop's record? Was that your mom's record? Who was playing that?
No, what it was is that so my father was getting out of the military, so he wasn't renewing, so he was going to just retire. And we were staying with a friend of his who was also in the service. So while we're trying to get our affairs in Chicago ready to have somewhere to go, we were staying with them, this family that also had kids our age, like young 5'4" teenagers, and they had tapes of like records or hip hop, whatever few hip hop records there were time, and it was Run DMC and LL Cool J. But I remember hearing LL Cool J like "I'm Bad" a lot. That was like
here's what when you say that to me, only one image comes to mind. And that is of you, Weekend Gabe, in a Kango. Did that ever happen? Do we have photo evidence of that?
I have a Kango, and you may be able to find one on these internets if you look deep enough. That I do have one. Actually, I just pulled it out, but it's probably if we would have prepped this, I could have had it. But yeah, but no, not a red one like LL. No, I don't have the red Kango.
We're building the Weekend Gabe website, and I'm gonna need the Kango photo in front of the bookshelf ASAP. So that is your homework. But
it's if I find it, it was for a b-boy costume. So I had the fake truck jewelry, the Run DMC block glasses, the Kango. It was amazing. The Adidas track jacket had all that. It was fantastic. If I find it, I'll share it with you.
Do you credit LL Cool J with sparking your passion for hip hop in general? Was that where it came from, or did it take a little bit longer to develop?
That was the window. Even if embarrassingly saying this, like Hammer and like Vanilla Ice and those guys were like, those were the commercial people that was like really putting like hip hop like on notice with radio. So we listened to a lot of those records. And then, but I think for me, the moment that kind of really just changed everything was Dr. Dre's The Chronic. I really single-handedly think a single moment of where I traded a Curtis Conway rookie card, who was a wide receiver for the Bears in the 90s, a rookie card for Dr. Dre's The Chronic on CD. So I think I won that trade.
Oh, 100% you won that trade, because I have no idea who that player is, and you're old as hell for that.
He was great though. He was great for the little time that we had. Anyways, but I had the Chronic on tape first. I can't remember how I got the money to buy it or who bought it for me, but that was like a huge moment for me because I used to listen to that all the time. And then whatever little money I would get, I would always go buy rap tapes. So Tupac Strictly 4, NWA Straight Outta Compton. I got the edited version of it, and I had like all these single tapes. Like I know this is a little bit dated for you, but they used to sell singles on a tape, where it's just one song, and on the flip side, it would have the instrumental or the acapella. So, anyways, I'd buy a bunch of those for like $2 or $1. You can buy a song for $1. So but the Chronic was like really the significant moment in my history. It really made me like I care about this.
Word. And you talked a little bit about trading the rookie card. One of the tenets that I think creates the persona of Weekend Gabe is a love of sports. Certainly a love of your Chicago White Sox. When did that love of baseball come into your life? Was that from your dad? Was that just peer pressure at school? Where did you love the White Sox?
No, we used to watch Angels games in California. So I remember watching Angels games because that was like the team. Not because I think we're too far from Los Angeles, so like we didn't get Dodger games. But then I remember when I was in elementary school, CPS used to have, like, if you got good grades, they would give you White Sox tickets. So we would go to games because one of us would get on the honor roll or be honor roll or some honor roll. So we'd get enough tickets to like have all of us be able to go. But then it wasn't until 93 when I was old enough to, like, we had cable so we could watch the games. 93 was the year that we I could follow the games like regularly, and that was the year that they won the AL West, and they almost really great team. But it was like 93. Like Frank Thomas was like the MVP, and everyone talked about him. So that was like the year. I think that was like my earliest recollection of caring about like the White Sox.
Word. Word. And from there, you made a move into radio. And let's talk about the radio, man. What does Weekend Gabe love about the radio? What about that attracts you, man? It's not the most shiniest job in the world, holding down the set, but you did it for years and you did it well. What brought you to that lane?
Even before, so I went to Columbia College, 2008. Shout to the Triple C, even though they're bogus right now, but every institute is not going to have a good day. But 2008, I had just finished my 5 years of 2-year degree, which is hilarious in itself. But I always knew that I wanted to do something in media. Like I read The Source, Double XL, Vibe, read all these hip hop magazines, and I knew I wanted to do something with covering the culture. And I just didn't know how to do it. I didn't know where I needed to go. And I just knew that I wanted to do something with media. And radio was when I started, YouTube was just coming on the scene. So there weren't these kind of interactions or engagements available. So traditional radio was still the way to get into doing conversations or, introducing records. And I just always knew I wanted to do it. I just didn't know how to do it. And but I had the insight too, because I had all these records and these albums I've listened to, shit that no one else listened to but me. So there had to be someone to talk to about this.
And looking back on those records, really nobody else listened to those records but you.
No, fuck no, they don't. I mean, it's like I could tweet a random lyric from some obscure artist, and then 3 months later, someone would like it and be like, "Oh yeah, I have this record too." So they don't populate. But I knew I wanted to do something with highlighting the Chicago hip hop scene, because think of 08, that's Chance, that's the drill scene, that's
little early for Chance. Little early for Chance, but certainly the drill scene.
There's the drill scene, Chance. We had not Chicago, but we had early Drake coming in. But there was a lot of local artists who were starting to really bubble, OGs that were hanging on. But it was just a really independent underground scene that was perfect for college radio. So
right,
we could definitely tap into a lot of different things that commercial wasn't covering. And I think that kind of fared negatively to me too, because I didn't get excited for the new, 50 Cent record. But I was interested in what was Lupe doing, what was Kanye up to, on the was it the Friday, what was it called, the mixes that he would drop on Fridays?
Yeah, Good Fridays.
Yeah. So all those different things, I was playing all that stuff off the blog era, the sites, and I think that didn't probably do me any favors when I was trying to push myself to commercial radio, and I would send these air checks with it was obscure rappers to get excited about, but I really wanted to just showcase and highlight artists, and I still want to do that, and that's why we do what we do.
Yeah, absolutely. You joined the team at Vocalo to do a little bit of that, and they described you on their website when I was doing some research on Weekend Gabe. By the way, I don't know if you know this, but if you Google Weekend Gabe, 3 of our most recent episodes come up. And I think that's pretty cool. But outside of that, they described you as urban alternative, Gabe. That is how they described you. And do you feel that that's an accurate description of the show, the music that you were picking, urban alternative?
Yeah, we weren't. Yeah, I wasn't doing a lot of. We would do some commercial stuff, and they never told me what to do. So I picked out a lot of random shit that I really liked. So yeah, that's probably accurate. I went into my senior year of Columbia. I needed an internship to graduate. Vocalo was in its very early primitive stages of being an internet website, like an internet radio. That was they weren't on the dial yet. Right. And they're the station was really kind of a bit of a mess. And so I did a lot of early production, like production with storytelling, so which is like NPR. A lot of storytelling, which is great. So I really enjoy that, and I really want to get back into that. But I just pushed. I'm like, I want to be on air. Like, that's what I want to do. And then so halfway through the internship, so this is 09 or 2010 maybe. They were like, Brian Babylon. Shout out to Brian Babylon, who is like one of the best comedians out there. He was like, "What do you want to do?" And I was like, "I just want to review albums." If you're familiar with Sound Opinions from NPR, they review albums, they give you their take, and then they, every week they're giving you a new album, breaking down the record, and that's what I did. And I just broke down words of what I liked, what I didn't like, and then we'd give it some sort of rating. And after I graduated, they were like, "Hey, do you want to keep doing this? I know it's not credit, we can't pay you, but do you want to do it?" And I was like, "Yeah," because I love doing it. And so fast forward 10 years later, hundreds of albums and mixtapes, blog era mixtapes that I reviewed. I think I did a lot of good for independent artists by talking about these records that no one else would probably touch.
And another way that you connected with sort of the scene, why you have all the connections that you have, is your involvement with sort of Radio 1 Chicago, and that's actually how we met a long time ago. So talk about the opportunity. I know we're running out of time. I got this question and then two more, and then we're done. But
that's it. It's my show. We can go as long as we want, Sam.
But Radio 1 Chicago and doing that, what did that mean to you to be able to build this network of artists and really get in touch with that new wave music that you weren't getting in touch with in the blog era?
So with because Vocalo, I was just mostly doing album reviews, and that's when I started flirting with the podcasting and like doing interviews over. It wasn't Zoom, it was
Skype.
What was it? Skype? Yeah, exactly. So I figured out like how to record conversations on Skype and then turn those into podcasts and interviews. And so, but then like. People, it was, again, very early primitive podcasting. People weren't really like into long form kinds with obscure Chicago rappers. It just was something that just hadn't really caught on yet. And so, shout out to Sandra Trevino, who's the Latin music correspondent for Vocalo. I saw that she was doing something with the Radio 1 Chicago at Loyola. And so I just kind of forced myself in. I'm like, hey, can you guys talk? Like, can I come on and do something for you guys? And I did like a segment where I was just interviewing artists or suggesting records. And then they're just like, hey, why don't you just come on, because we have a void for our hip hop selections. So it'd be really cool if we kind of knew that and can handle that. And so it really opened the window to like meeting more people versus just doing it remotely, like what we're doing. Like, but actually engaging people and seeing people, and that really opened up a lot of doors and a lot of windows, and also like gave me a lot of insight to different artists that I wasn't familiar with, because everyone's like, oh yeah, I know another artist that would be great for this. Like, here's, you just get referrals, so then you just go down the rabbit hole from there. So yeah, that was a great run as well. I think it was 5 years, 5 years or 6 years, I can't remember. We did a lot every week doing shows. Yeah, a lot of energy and time into that.
Word. All right, I got two last questions for you. I give you a lot of crap, Gabe. I call you a dinosaur. I call you outdated. All of this stuff. He's got the dinosaur on his shirt. He's not doing himself any favors, ladies and gentlemen. But now that you are, you're swimming in this pool of new music, you're often listening to the new guests that we have on the show. You at least give their albums a shot. What makes the perfect new school album for you? What's got to be on there for Weekend Gabe to hold interest? Is it beat selection? Is it storytelling? Is it pure bars? What are you looking for?
Time. I'm looking at time. Before I started, I look at how many records you have. If it's max 12, I'm okay with that. But if you give me 20 records, I don't want to listen to it. How great it is, I won't know, because I probably won't give it a real effort. I'm just being 1,000% honest with you. I just don't think that young artists really have the skill set to keep me entertained for an hour. Prove me wrong, but I'm looking at number of records first off, but then also I'm looking at production, how well it is. I'm looking at your mixing and your the quality of your records, kind of like what we're talking about with Cupid Baby. Like those records are super well produced. I am looking for your vocals, you standing out. I really don't. If you're new, I really don't want your album or mixtape to be you with featuring a bunch of dudes and other people who aren't as talented as you are. So for me, I think it would be best if you limit down your features. And I know it's like hard to like, yo, I want to get my homie on this, and but if it's gonna be a solo record or you about your moment, you need to make it about you. But also I'm looking for stories. I'm looking for original ideas. I'm looking for feels. Like, give me something that I can hang my hat on. I'm like, I can relate to this, so relatability. There's a lot of check boxes, but also I want you to be yourself. Like, I don't want you sounding like Drake or sounding like something that someone from the city is already doing, or from your city, depending on where you're from. Like, you really need to like be yourself. So
you hear that, you Future clones and you Cardi clones out there? I swear to God, do something original.
C Money wants to know. C Money wants to know what the sweet spot for records. I think 8 to 10 records is like really a good, like 30, 35 minutes.
I would agree with this one caveat. I would say that I'm okay with more records if the overall time of the album is hovering around 30 minutes. If your album is pushing 40, you're worried you might lose somebody in the mix there. But I can foresee albums, a lot of these new songs these days are 1.5 to 2.5 minutes long. So the number of tracks doesn't really bother me so much as that overall time for the project.
And even like the 15, 20-minute records, like Me's record is phenomenal. And I think it's half minutes. I don't even know how long it is, but it's like, it's enough that I can go back and listen to it. And it feels like a long listen, but it's really not, because the records are so great. So shout out to Me's. I think 30 minutes, if you can like keep me engaged for 30 minutes, you have a miss or two on there, I won't hate you for it. But I think like 30 minutes is probably like where I need you to be at. If you're gonna go like a full 3.5 minute record, give me like 10 of those, and I'll be all right.
Word. It looks like we have a Weekend at Gabe's exclusive in the chat right now. Hooligan and C Money Wave coming with a new project very, very soon, and we hope to have them back on the show to talk about that one. But one last question here, Weekend Gabe, before we sign off of Meet Gabe. You are Weekend Gabe. What's your ideal weekend, man?
Ideal weekend, not being in the house. I love booking, Sam. I know you hate me for this, but my wife is starting to slowly hate this too. I love book shopping. I love finding out like things I don't own or things I don't have, like information. So I just like spending time in bookstores and record stores and just talking to people about these different things and learning about different things. I like bike rides. I like ice cream. Those are like the bears in the fall. So like, because I'm a Virgo, so I'm a fall baby. So I love 70-degree fall weather. Yeah, man, that's it, man. There's not a lot about me, man. It's just I'm very.
You are a man of simple taste, but that is the key to happiness, my friend. Being a man of simple taste.
You didn't even ask how I arrived at Weekend Gabe. That's the question that went.
Do you want to dive in? Do you want to dive into that? I was going to leave at least one air of mystery around this, but if you'd like to ask the most obvious question you could ask, please.
The most obvious. All right. Long story short, I did a podcast, or it was almost supposed to be like a what's his name? The guy used to do top 40 like every week. The old school guy, I can't remember his name. Dick. He had the New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve with Dick. Channel 7. I can't remember his name. No. Anyways, when he was a DJ, he would do every week a top 40 of like all the records in America. And then he would have like a story like, hey, this is moved up the charts, whatever, whatever. So I was like, wouldn't that be cool if I did something like that for Chicago artists who are releasing music on the blogs, though? Every week, like introducing a new record, like here's all these new records that came out, and then like introducing them, like, hey, this is basically like, and then like put together a 30-minute mix, but like with commentary in between it, almost like a radio show, because it was like a radio show just for online. So I called it the Weekend Wrap-Up Mix, because it's something you can play during the week to like it engulfs all the records from the week that you have no fucking idea because you're working and you have no time to spend on going through the blogs like I do. The Weekend Wrap-Up Mix. So then I was like, how do I associate myself with this? Weekend Gabe, because I used to go by Vocalo Gabe, and then they got mad at me for kind of like associating with the brand a little bit, and so I was like, oh, okay, Weekend Gabe.
Uh-oh. We might have lost Weekend Gabe, ladies and gentlemen. Things happen here on the show, but it is clear that the best nicknames that one can give oneself are ones that one gives oneself. And that might be the best way to put it, ladies and gentlemen. It has been an incredible show. We have sat down with Cupid Baby. Yeah, of course, the screen froze on a smile from Gabe. That's right. We have sat down with Cupid Baby tonight. Go check out her records exclusively on SoundCloud. Be sure to check those out, and hopefully some new songs coming from her very soon. We revived America's favorite segment, Meet Gabe. You got to learn everything there is to know about your fearless leader, Weekend Gabe. And we did it all in an hour and 11 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what we do. This is why we do this show. So, huge show coming on Thursday. We've got the return of Thursday Funnies. That is going to feature a comedian that only Gabe knows because Gabe booked the guest. So hopefully Gabe can come back and tell us what comedian that is. But big news coming from my booking segment. I'm super excited to introduce to the world Shoelace Belt. This is one of these artists that I have been obsessed with over the past 3 to 6 months. Putting out amazing quality music on streaming services, on SoundCloud, does a little skateboarding on the side. All of this stuff he does by himself, for himself, produces himself, skates himself, and he's a real life skater, man. Like, you will catch him at the skate park. So, Shoelace Belt joining us here on Weekend at Gabe's. That is Thursday night, so you can catch us right back on here, twitch.tv/Weekend Gabe. Go ahead and hit that follow button if you haven't already. Remember to subscribe to us on YouTube. We have 70 followers on Twitch, but only 54 YouTube subscribers. So be sure to go follow us on all the platforms. Weekend Gabe, at Weekend at Gabe's, and also at The Real Sam Crane. And they say that if you do all three, your social media experience will increase by a solid 15.744%. And that, Gabe,
is science. And we follow the science on America. So follow us. Sorry, guys. Hey, it's the future. Hey,
man, it happens. I'm proud of myself for hopping through that segment right there. So, a great show tonight. I wanted to tell the people, I told the people about Shoelace Belt already while you were off, but tell the people what we got for Thursday Funnies before we get out of here.
Baby Horchata is going to be joining us. Phenomenal Latin comedian. He's going to be checking in with us on Thursday. So we're looking to bring back some laughter to close out your week. Obviously, for my week, I definitely need some laughter. So I'm looking forward to it. So we got a big show on Thursday, and then we're also loading up for a big show for next Tuesday as well. So stay tuned for any updates on that by following us on the social medias, because that's the best way to stay close to the show.
What we got to do, Gabe, we got to sign off real quick.
Listen, it's the 3 S's that you need in life, like Little Kim says. Share, support, and show love. Put it all 3 into your life. Trust me, you'll be a better person for it. And also share this show and tell a friend. It definitely helps.
Tell a friend, baby. That is it from us here on Weekend at Gabe's. Thank you for listening. Be sure to follow us on all the social medias. We got a lot of big stuff coming this week and next week, so catch us Thursday night. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. Shout out to Cuba Baby again for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Chicago, stay safe. Do it again on Thursday right here on Twitch TV.
Peace.
Hey, I'm Weekend Gabe. Thanks for checking out this latest episode of Weekend at Gabe's. Click on any of the links swirling around my head, and also hit the subscribe button while you're here. Thanks for checking out us here on YouTube.